There are places that feel wrong before anything ever happens, as if the air itself remembers what you are about to become. Daniel did not notice it at first. The flat on Ashbourne Street was only quiet, slightly too quiet, the kind of quiet that presses against your ears when you stand still for too long. But from the moment he stepped inside, something was already observing him without eyes. The landlord's smile lingered too long, her answers too empty, as if she had rehearsed forgetting. That night, as Daniel unpacked alone, the building answered him in small ways, a faint hum behind the walls, a rhythm that didn't match anything electrical or alive. And when he paused in silence, the hum paused with him, waiting, learning the shape of his stillness. It began with habits that did not belong to him. Daniel woke at the same time every night without reason, 3:12 a.m., as if something inside him had been set like an alarm long before he ever arrived. His routine shifted without permission. Objects moved because they felt right elsewhere. Thoughts arrived already formed, as though he was remembering decisions he had never made. The most disturbing part was not the change itself, but the acceptance of it. Resistance dulled quickly, like a voice being turned down in another room. Even his reflection seemed impatient with him, as if waiting for him to catch up to what it had already become. Daniel started noticing that silence was no longer empty. There was always something underneath it now, something soft, synchronized, almost breathing in time with him. When he spoke, there was a fraction of delay in the world responding, like reality was double-checking his identity before accepting it. The mirror became unreliable. Not broken, not distorted, just slightly wrong in timing. A blink that happened too late. A smile that arrived before he chose it. The apartment no longer felt like a place he lived in, but a place that was studying how he lived, measuring him in habits. Storing him in repetition, Daniel began losing the boundaries between himself and imitation. His emotions flattened, not disappearing but becoming rehearsed, like someone practicing being human from memory. Mia noticed it immediately. She said his smile didn't reach his eyes anymore, but Daniel could not explain that sometimes his smile arrived before he felt anything at all. The apartment encouraged consistency. Every repeated action made the air feel heavier, more approving. And in that approval, something else grew confident. Something that learned Daniel not by watching him, but by becoming him in pieces too small to notice until the shape was already wrong. Oliver Cade was not a mystery in the traditional sense. He was a pattern that stopped mid-execution. A man who mirrored others too closely, too accurately, until people around him began feeling unsure who was initiating the behavior. Then one day, he simply stopped leaving evidence of himself. No struggle, no disappearance that demanded attention, just absence shaped like continuation. When Daniel learned this, something in the apartment reacted. The hum deepened. The silence tightened. It was not fear that filled the space, but recognition, as if the place had finally been given a name for what it had already been doing. Daniel tried to leave, but leaving required continuity of self, and continuity was already being rewritten. His movements began to lag behind intention, as if his body was negotiating permission with something else. In the mirror, he did not always arrive at the same time as himself. Sometimes the reflection led, sometimes it corrected. Sometimes it simply smiled without waiting. The realization came slowly but completely: nothing in the apartment was copying him. It was refining him. Removing inconsistencies. Replacing uncertainty with repetition until only one version remained stable enough to continue. The apartment resets itself gently. It does not erase, it reorganizes. When the next tenant arrives, everything feels almost familiar, like remembering a life that hasn't happened yet. The hum returns, subtle and patient, hiding inside normal sound. The mirror behaves perfectly, until it doesn't, just once, just long enough to be noticed. And somewhere deep in the structure of the place, something waits with learned stillness, ready to adjust again. Not hungry. Not angry. Just observant. Practicing. Becoming better each time at being someone else without ever being seen becoming anything at all.